Hello, good evening, welcome. This is Hot Edition. We're live on USAP at Desawe Kanda. Also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. I am Alfred Ocansey.
My name is Grace Hamoah-Agyemang.
This evening here on Hot Edition, Electoral Commission in a crunch meeting with political parties over possible release of provisional voters register ahead of the exhibition exercise.
Coming up, Ghana Tertiary Education Commission insists colleges of education will remain open despite prolonged strike by tutors. Also, government, meanwhile, has announced plans to recruit some 25,000 teachers to augment the staff strength across all 46 colleges of education. Later in the bulletin, we'll tell you why food crisis looms as drought hits northern Ghana, ravaging farmlands. President Akufo-Addo assures of measures to address the situation. And we're going more here on your election command center as we follow John Mahama's campaign and then also the preparations for the MPP's manifesto launch in the Western region on Sunday. John Mahama rounds up his campaign in the Volta region. Kamala Kuluche, who is correspondent with the John Mahama campaign team, is going to be joining us as we go on here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Let's get into the stories now. And straight into matters. Getting into the election here on your election command center. The Electoral Commission is currently in a meeting with political parties over the release of the provisional voters register ahead of the start of the exhibition exercise. This comes barely 2 days after the main opposition NDC accused the Electoral Commission of the consistent issues of not being able to meet their demands, and the claim that the Electoral Commission has vehemently denied, saying it was working within the time and also the frame given within the law. Let's get a bit further on this one. And Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer is Deputy Director of Elections and IT for the NDC, joining us on the telephone. Dr. Computer, appreciate the time. Good evening to you.
Good evening, my brother. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for asking. Now, we understand that there's this crunch meeting ongoing between yourselves, the political parties, and the Electoral Commission. What exactly has been the discussion so far?
Well, it's the same thing. The issue is about the register. We are here talking. It is our instance. We came to request for it because they told us that we should come for it today. And we've been following them since morning up to now, and they seem not to be ready with the register.
Since morning, the provisional register has not been made available to you? Completely.
They have not. In fact, it's becoming something. It appeared today, I said we won't get it. Because as it is, the indication that we are getting from them is that they are not ready with it.
But then again, has there been any official communication as to why since morning you've been there and they have not been able to honor that promise they give to you, that they would give you the provisional register today?
No official communication. No official. In fact, we came, we met them, they said we still hold on. Their IT department, they are still working to make sure that they get the best of data. They are, in fact, usual rhetorics. That is what is being played out here. It's becoming something else. Seriously, we can't continue like this as a country. It's just not the best.
So they're working on the data to give it to you. Is it before close of day? Are you getting that indication that you would still get it before close of day, or you may not get it at all today?
Alfred, the way I'm looking at things, I doubt whether we can have it today. Because you can look at the time where we went back to them, had the discussions, they went back to their meeting, and they are yet to report back to us. That is the situation we are facing. Why do we have to descend to this abyss? The exhibition is on Tuesday, and yet the major political parties don't have the register. We don't know what is happening. We are following that. They should give us an indication. No indication yet.
And getting the provisional register is an integral part of the process of you monitoring the exhibition exercise?
Of course. That is why the CIC, they should give it to us. there's a reason why the framers of the CI put it in there, that when they finish compiling the provisional release, they should give us a copy. Is there? And they said the Electoral Commission shall. So as soon as you see the shall there, it's mandatory. You have to give it to us.
The argument that right.
We are not going to just keep it to go and decorate our office. We are going to also scrutinize it, make sure that it's in line with what has transpired over the period, and then tease it out to our constituencies, to our branches, so that they can also observe the process very well. This is to help the EC and make sure that we can whip up even interest for people to come in and check their data, because we'll be checking it ourselves. But now we don't have it.
The argument that the Electoral Commission made, this was 2 days ago when we spoke to you and also Dr. Hamoah-Agyemang, who heads the training department of the Electoral Commission. He indicated that really, if you look at the CI and the details of it, there is no time frame for the release of this provisional register to the political parties, correct?
So if the CI is silent about the time frame, do you go and choose opacity? When you are touting transparency as your hallmark, why are they choosing opacity? If there's a lacuna there, you make sure that you block it. And you block it through transparency process. And that is what we've been talking about. I mean, why do you go to choose opacity by hiding behind the scene and don't want to release it? You want to give it to us 24 hours to the exhibition so that we can't look at it, because we are dealing over 40,000 plus polling stations. That is gross unfair.
I want us to, just a quick recall, take a listen to exactly what Dr. Hamoah-Agyemang said, and I'm going to seek your quick response on it. I know you need to go back into that meeting.
Wanted to give them the figures before the mop-up, but we heard that if you do that, we still go and give. You have to record the driver and give them the mop-up. So we said, okay, let us take them and give it to them today. But we have some few challenges, and I'm happy you said that they said they should come for it on Friday. So at least they should ask, it's better to get the accurate material rather than being given them in bits. So that's what I would say. But we have 3 months to have done that. So we have far ahead of time. The purpose of exhibition is to help rectify challenges. So automatically the system knows that there will be challenges. That's why there's exhibition. So exhibition will do inclusion, exhibition will do corrections, and exhibition will do objections. So all these things are captured in the law.
So indeed, that's Dr. Hamoah-Agyemang there, confirming what you've just said, that there was that promise to release this provisional register to you today, Friday. But as we speak, that has not happened. And then again, he makes reference to this 3-month period that they have to, as it were, fulfill that expectation that you have of them as well.
Of course, that is what we are talking about. They made the promise. We didn't put daggers on their neck to make the promise. That's why I always say that there's a serious problem with their IT department, because it appears the IT department is not telling their bosses the truth. That is why they always come on air to talk and then go back and eat humble pie. Because whatever he said, you see that it's telling on them today. We are here. And there's nothing to show. But what surprises us is that why would they have these challenges? A commission that we know with the capacity that they are touting all over, why would they have that challenge? Just to load a data for the political party is a challenge. Sometimes these are the things they do, and then it raises suspicion that there is some underdealing going on with the register. What is making it difficult for them to release the register? That is the question for the boss. Because since they don't want to answer, we throw the questions to the boss.
If the register is not made available today as promised, what's going to be the next step for you, the NDC?
Well, we have other plans. We have our strategy under our sleeves. We are just waiting on them officially to hear from them when they intend giving it. Because as we said, my observation from the meeting with them and all that doesn't show that we will have the register today. We will go back and have another plan. But they should prepare for a showdown. If this thing is how they want it to be, don't be surprised. We will mobilize our masses to come and sleep in their office.
You mobilize your members to go and sleep at the EC office?
Of course. Look, they are not doing any favor. The CIC give it to us. It's a law. We are not begging for it. It is within our mandate to have it. And then so if you are dragging your feet to give us this, and we all know that the exhibition is on 20th, the law didn't say you should give it to us within the exhibition period or after the exhibition period. They say give us provisional register. The reason is that give it to us so that as we exhibit, we also observe it. And then so if we are dragging your feet within this period, we have other legal tools that we can apply. And one of them is what I've just told you. Go and pick it at their office there until they get it. If that is the language they want to understand.
And between now and Tuesday, if we don't get it today, we're getting into the weekend. So if all things being equal, if it's given to you on Monday, you certainly wouldn't have enough time to go through it before the exhibition exercise starts Tuesday.
That is the stress they are going to put on us. That is what we are talking. And you call this on transparency. You want to say that these people are being transparent in their dealing. You are giving a register to a major political party 24 hours to the exhibition.
Is this concern just for the NDC or the other? I mean, the NPP and the others also share in the same concern. Where you are, this meeting that you are in?
They are not here. They are comfortable with what is going on. Only God knows what is happening. They are very much comfortable with what is going on. They don't care because all along we know that it appears they are the same page with them. So they are comfortable. So we have it on the grapevine here that they have the register already and they are there doing some voter profiling with it. That is their cup of tea. And so it means they are comfortable with what is going on.
So you're saying that this meeting that is ongoing for you to get this provisional register as promised by the Electoral Commission today, the NPP is not in this meeting as we speak.
They are not there. They are not interested.
So which other political parties are there apart from the NDC?
It's our instance.
Oh, it's at the instance of the NDC?
Yes, we are following up on the letter and the correspondence we had with them.
I see. Dr. Rashid Tanko, thank you for your time. Appreciate you.
I'm grateful.
Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer is Deputy Director of IT and Elections for the NDC. So, Grace, as we have it now, this meeting, this crunch meeting, is at the instance of the NDC. They are the only political party, as far as Dr. Tanko tells us, in this meeting, awaiting the release of the provisional register as promised by the Electoral Commission. Because we spoke to Dr. Sibokwe, as I played to you, on Hot Edition 3 days ago. He did promise that they were going to release this provisional register today, by close of day today. It's beyond 5 p.m.
5:15.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Jonathan Asantioche is a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast. He's a political analyst. He's joining us on the telephone. Dr. Asantioche, appreciate your time here on Hot Edition. Good evening to you. So, this is what's happening now. The Electoral Commission gave that promise to the NDC, at least on the show 3 days ago, that the provisional register will be released ahead of the exhibition, the voter exhibition exercise, which starts on Tuesday. We've just got off the phone with Dr. Tanko Computer, who says they are yet to have the provisional register, but the Electoral Commission says they are still working around it to give it to them. Their IT department is working on it as we speak. But looking at how things are playing out and where you sit, is there any concern at all?
Let me say good evening to your listeners and to your good self. You see, I thought that by now the Electoral Commission is trying to rebuild its scattered credibility over the period. And so when they allowed certain things to be part of the registration process, the issue of birth certificate, the issue of passport, the issue of the Ghana card, and the guarantor system, I felt that one way or the other, they are rebuilding, the lost trust that they had as far as the opposition is concerned. Now, something like this is more of administrative than political. Administrative in the sense that if you were not ready, I'm not too sure you would have given a timetable in terms of the period that you're going to hand over this particular document to the individual stakeholders, i.e. the political parties. So it is quite surprising that having given the time, and we are already in the 517 already. So what could have been limited against the release of this particular document? Now, when you do this, you forward the speculation, the negative speculation against the activities, of the EC, and it rather erodes the trust that these stakeholders, especially the main opposition party, the NDC, is supposed to have in you. And elections are held in such a way that we talk about transparency, we talk about the freeness of the whole processes. And so if things of this nature happen, at this point in time, it erodes the trust that you've already built or you are trying to build. I don't think that it augurs well for the image of the EC, and we should all be concerned about that. Most likely, they will give the document all right. But the timing and having given a period that they're going to do so, you need to communicate to us that indeed it is A, B, C, and D that is against the release. The case that those they have employed as IT are not qualified. Is it just mere jobs for the boys? That's the more reason why they cannot stick to the timetable that they've given themselves. I don't think that anybody will accept such pity on their part.
See, but according to Dr. Tanko, he says the Electoral Commission, the IT department is putting the data together as we speak.
And as I said, that it is very wrong on their part to say that they are putting the data together when you yourself gave the individual parties or the party and the period they should come for it. So if you are still putting together, why did you ask them to come? You could have asked them to come for a later day. For it. But to allow them to come and you are still putting together, it's a mark of inefficiency on their part.
I see, but then Dr. Shibokweku, I recall, also was making reference to what the CI says and the fact that they are not bound by a particular time frame to make this register available to the parties.
The parties did not tie a rope around their neck to say that they should come for the document today. They will release the date or the day, so they have come. That's something that they are not communicating. And you let people, speculate negatively against your image, against your intention, against your motive. And what is it that is keeping the document from being released? They are not communicating. And these things do not in any way augur well for the image of a state institution such as the EC.
Dr. Asante, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Jonathan Asante is a senior lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, also a political analyst.
Alfred, still staying on issues related to election and security and conflict management expert with the Center for Security Dialogue and Peace Advocacy, Dr. Anthony Akwe, is urging the Electoral Commission to ensure transparency in all of its dealings ahead of the crucial December 7 election. It is barely 4 months to the polls, one that both leading parties, the governing New Patriotic Party and the main opposition NDC, are determined to win. The signing of a peace pact before every election has helped maintain a peaceful environment before and after each election. But the NDC chairman, Johnson Ketia, has said that the death of 8 Ghanaians during the 2020 elections and the government failure to investigate these deaths suggests that the NPP is not committed to peace. For security and conflict management expert Dr. Anthony Akwe, ensuring all stakeholders are carried along the electoral process will help diffuse tension and ensure peace.
The Electoral Commission must ensure that there is transparency in terms of its decision making, and again, ensure that no political biasness, is being indicated or shown in their operation. The Ghana Police Service must also understand that it is important to communicate to the public and for them to know the non-sensitive part of their approach. I mean, in terms of their security approach, where citizens can be involved to be the eye of the police, reporting incidents that can, raise violence within the country. These are very, holistic approach that we need to be taken as a country to ensure that we have peace.
Meanwhile, NDC flag bearer John Mahama says he appreciates the position of the NDC chair on the post and has been also reacting to the matter.
I read the statement made by our chairman this morning, and even though it is not a decision that we have sat and taken, I can understand the position he's coming from. He's talking about justice and saying that we should not glorify just signing a peace pact without acting to make sure that peace exists. Because when we sign a peace pact and people gun down 8 of our compatriots and nobody cares, no investigation is taken, no compensation is paid, then what was the use of signing the peace pact? And so I can understand where he's coming from. But of course, we haven't sat and taken a definite decision on that. But I do think that those who normally clamor about signing peace pacts, getting us to go to Movenpick Hotel, serve small chops and drinks, and then we think that just by signing that paper, everything is going to be okay. He's telling them that everything will not be okay unless we go further than just the signature on the peace pact. So I think that's the message he's sending.
That was NDC flag bearer John Dramani Mahama there.
And let's move away from politics. We'll come back to more of it on your election command center here on Hot Edition, also live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond. We're also live on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. Keep your thoughts coming through, and the views, comments, and opinions are welcome on 3FM 927 on Facebook, also on X. Read out to you and to the rest of the world. Some stories, some concerns in the education sector. The Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, says a college of education across the country will remain open despite 2 months of no academic activity. And the Director General of GTEC, in a statement on Friday, said the Education Minister, Dr. Yao Duchim, has not given any directive to close down the schools. There's a News Desk report on this matter by Evelyn Tema.
Students have been pushing for a shutdown of the schools after 2 months of no academic activity. The Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, Professor Ahmed Jinapor, who issued the statement, noted the Commission as of August 16 has not reached a consensus and has also not received a directive from the Education Minister to close down the schools. Regarding payment of the teachers' August salaries, the Commission says it would communicate directives on the subject once they have the Minister's word. Professor Ahmed Jinapor said, in the meantime, GTEC is in talks with the Education Minister to grant financial clearance to GTEC to recruit some 2,500 teaching staff to augment the load for academic work to commence as soon as possible while they work with CTAC to resolve their concerns. The recruitment, he says, would take place as soon as the clearance is provided. GTEC, however, says it has migrated 20 institutions as of August 16 and hopes to complete all the 46 by end of the month. Payment of the top-up of the research allowance, Professor Jinapor says, has been paid to 44 colleges except McCoy and Dambai due to some technical issues. The statement further indicated that the all-year-round payment has been initiated on the Ghana Integrated Financial Management Information System to enable the Finance Ministry release letter and specific warrant for payment to be effected.
As a report there by Evelyn Tema. And so you'll recall that last week, the student body, the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana, requested through the Conference of Principals of College of Education, that's the PRINCOF, for the schools to be closed down, as a strike by the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana has brought academic work to a halt. Now, the president of the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana, Abdul Swale Razak, is going to be joining us on the telephone in a bit for a conversation on the latest on this matter. Abdul, appreciate you. Good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Yes, good evening, and good evening to all your listeners.
So this is the development. GTEC says that although you want these College of Education to be closed down, there's no directive from the Education Minister to that effect.
Yes, this afternoon we have received, we have also seen the purported letter that GTEC is not ready to close down the colleges, and then that is even going on to put the whole thing in a very different situation, because students have been in these campuses and they are suffering from all year groups, and the least we expect from the Ministry of Education is to, if there is no clear resolution inside, is to allow the students to go home, but not to overburden the students from the time that they've reported to the various campuses to September 7, where we really do not know when the sit-out strike will be called off.
I see. So then, what's going to be the next step for you? You've petitioned Parliament, and this is the response.
Well, the petition to Parliament was done by a group of students from the northern sector. We have actually written to for the Vice President to intervene, which we are told there was a meeting at the Jubilee House with regards to the same situation for which CITAG is going back to consider. But this afternoon, the release from the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission has come to worsen the whole situation by saying that it's waiting for a permission from the Ministry of Education for them to be able to recruit some 2,500 teachers. That has come to jeopardize the whole thing that is going on. Because if you look at the whole thing, the letter does not come in good faith at all to our teachers, and this might further injure the whole thing, like I was saying.
I see. But if you say it might injure, what do you mean?
Yes, the College of Education Teachers Association has been on strike for some time now. Just last year, we recall in August 2023, when they were on strike, the same situation, their salaries were not paid to them, and it delayed for the whole month, affecting us as students. And then we are in this road again, trotting on this road again, and then their salaries are being blocked for the month of July, for which they have not yet been paid. And then we are even saying we are seeking financial clearance for recruitment of 2,500 teachers to come and then augment the current academic workload that is in the colleges. When you have not even been able to settle the strike action that has been embarked on by CITAG, we feel if the government has this amount of money or these resources to be able to recruit this number of people, why not use it to solve the problem of CITAG so that we will have our teachers back to the classroom? Because if you look at what they are demanding the implementation of the arbitration awards, 3 of them, for which all of them payment has to be done, and then these payments are not done, and then we are even seeking for financial clearance to recruit another crop of teachers.
But for you, the students, you're caught in the middle of all of that's what's going on now between the teachers and the education ministry. We understand yesterday there was supposed to be a meeting between the CITAG members and the Vice President. We're following that closely to get some updates from that said meeting. But what's happening to you, the students, right now across the 46 colleges of education? You as a leader, what's going on?
Yes, if you go through all the colleges, the situation is not different from the other. Students are in despair because there is no academic activities ongoing. Even students that were undertaking their own private studies have actually been relaxed. We've all have to stop because this is like day 60, day 65. The strike has been on almost close to 70 days, and then we are not taking any examination, we are not having any lectures from now to the time that the colleges are expected to go down. That is on September 7th. If you calculate very well, you would have even less than 3 weeks. So we really don't know whether, if you say we should still stay in the colleges, are we staying till September 7th and then you'll be extending? This would come with additional cost to the students because the students have been managing to stay with some resources from themselves and their parents, managing to stay in these colleges, and then you come and then impose extra hardship on them by extending the date, for which you have not demonstrated any good faith that you are trying to help the students, because we feel what is happening, the students have been left behind, the students have not been communicated well for a clear way forward to the whole strike action. Students have been suffering for about 8 weeks now to 9 weeks, and then we are still here.
It's quite a sad story. Thank you so much for talking to us. Appreciate you. That's the president of the Teacher Trainees Association of Ghana, giving us the details of how they're coping with the situation right now.
Alfred, it's very worrying. I've never seen any strike action prolonged like how this one has stretched.
And 65 days.
Yes, it's very worrying. It's very worrying. But you know, just like Swale said, if government has the funds to pay 25,000 other teachers to come and augment what the students have lost, why is government not investing this back? I mean, the conversation or the controversy is about funds and some allowances and arrears. I don't get it.
Well, we were trying to get through to the Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission to put some questions like what you've just asked to him. But as and when we do, we'll get some responses.
Definitely, Alfred. Well, let's talk about food, because just like the flag bearer of the NDC said, no matter what you're going through, you have to eat first. So there are growing fears of looming food shortage in the coming month as drought hits northern parts of the country, ravaging farmlands. Over the past 1.5 months, the 5 regions of the north have been hit by droughts, spelling, and affecting food production. The effect of the drought is likely to linger for a while as hundreds of farmers now have to also contend with mounting debt due to loss of their farms. Meanwhile, President Akufo-Addo, who witnessed the situation during his visit to the Upper East region on Thursday, has assured of measures in the coming weeks to address the situation. Former Executive Director of the Peasant Farmers Association, Dr. Charles Nyaba, is speaking to us on the phone. Doc, thank you for joining us. Would you say farmers could not anticipate the drought, so they prepare adequately?
No. Yeah, I say this because, you see, for the past 1 decade, we have experienced one way of changes in the raining pattern in terms of intensity, duration, and timing of coming, but not as what we have experienced this year. If you look at last year, by 15th July, it rained from May to 15th July. We finished planting everything. Even though between 15th July to 1st August, there were some intermittent breaks in the raining pattern, but we've not experienced consistent dry spells for more than 1 month. It has not happened before. For the past 1 decade. So this year, when it started first, we thought that it was the usual thing. It will stop for a week or two, and then it will come again. But as we speak, it's only this afternoon that I got information from some parts that in northern region that it started raining. But let me also correct this. It is not uniform for all the 5 northern regions. If you take Upper East, for instance, we have been experiencing intermittent rainfall. The situation is more there in northern Savannah, in Tempo, the Chiman, Atebubu areas. But for Upper East, part of Northeast, and part of Upper West, I think we have been experiencing some intermittent rainfalls.
So if the rains don't come soon, what will be the impact on food availability?
Yeah, it has actually impacted because there are some crops that cannot withstand the dry spell for more than 2 weeks. So you go to parts of northern region like Yendi, Gusiegu, Mion areas, and maize crops have completely dried up. If you put in fire, they'll burn. So it means all those farms, we have lost them. When you take Hamoah-Agyemang in Temporal areas, we used to experience 2 farming seasons, major and minor seasons. You have lost the whole of the major season. So if the rain starts coming out, they will now prepare to do the minor season farming. So it means that first part of production is already gone. Now, in the same northern part of the country, where farmers plowed and they couldn't plant, and where farmers planted and the drought came in, those farmers who planted, majority of them will not have resources to buy new seeds and plant again. So it means that the number of farmers will actually reduce. Once the number of farmers reduces, the number of farm sites reduces, then the supply, the quantity of supply will definitely come down.
Doc, so the one village, one dam policy was supposed to be the solution to all of these problems. How differently would it have been if that policy was working, or if, to an extent, if it was working? Because government says it is working, but how differently would it have been if it was working like how we wanted it to be?
So you see, if you go to the same, now let me give you an example. When you go to farmers who are producing on the tunnel irrigation, they just finished harvesting their rice in June. Even though other farmers are crying, you go to those areas and they are plowed and they started netting the rice again. That would have happened in all the villages that the one village, one dam was targeted if the dams were properly constructed. They go there and see what's happening. Many farmers are planting rice on the floor of the dam, the one village, one dam. Some areas you go there and there's no water at all because the dams were not properly planned. We don't construct dams on hilly land. We construct dams on waterways so that when it rains, the floor will be able to contain the water. But that was not the case. So the one village, one dam, if they were properly constructed, all the villages where they are situated, but now farmers were still planting and using the dam water to water the plants. So we will not have been crying like we are doing right now.
Now, what is the way forward? Is there a way out?
Yeah, so within ourselves as an association, we earlier on have told farmers that many of them didn't take our advice. But I'm sure this has said a lesson to all of us that the climate is changing and we cannot afford to continue to use crops that have a long gestation period. We need to adopt to using drought-resistant crop variety. We have a lot of open variety, maize, rice, cowpeas, that can grow within the 2.5 months. But it's always difficult to get the farmers to understand this. That is one. So if our farmers were to use those crops, some of them would have been harvesting now. Secondly, we need to also, as the farmers, I'm talking for the farmers, we need to change our attitude of cutting down all the trees. And then also bush burning. The moment the rain starts, then people start burning the bush. It's not happening. Now, on the part of the government, efforts should be made to ensure that we stop galamsey with an immediate effect and also try to promote afforestation. We need to redesign our one village, one dam, give it proper engineers like Irrigation Development Authority, that's NIDA. Irrigation Development Authority to do proper development. We need to really look at the Palgo multi-purpose dam that government launched. $11.8 million was given to a contractor who never did any work. We need to revisit all those things and do the right thing. And so, if we were to do that, by now, most of the farmers around those areas who have relied on those stored water to still continue to produce.
Doc, thank you for speaking to us. Dr. Charles Sinyaba is former executive director for the Peasant Farmers Association. So for those of you who have joined us online, if you watch our Facebook stream, you see videos and pictures of the situation on most of the farms in the regions that have been affected by the drought, how dry the farms look, and how the situation is because there hasn't been rainfall in the last 2 to 3 months, and the farmers are really going through the situation. Just like Dr. Nyaba has told us, if the rains don't come already, we're going to have a lot of issues when it comes to food availability, not only for those regions, but also a trickle down even to the regions here in the Greater Accra and others, because the regions affected some of them count as our food basket and food is not coming from there, then definitely it is an issue for almost everybody in this country, Alfred.
Certainly so. And it's some 18 minutes, matter of fact, to the top of the hour. And we're keeping an eye on a story that is just coming through right now. In fact, there's just some breaking news coming through right now here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7.
Breaking news on 3FM 92.7.
Grace, what's the news coming through now?
Yes, Alfred. So the news coming through is that the Minister of Employment and Labour Relations has intervened in the impasse between CTAG and all the other stakeholders, and the minister has called a meeting between CTAG and also the ministry itself. So this meeting is at the instance of the Employment Minister. Let me quickly run through the press release or the letter to the schools, and it says that at the instance of the Honourable Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, respectively, invites the leadership of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAG, and the underlisted stakeholders to a meeting as per the details below. So the meeting is expected to happen on Monday, August 19, 2024 at 10 a.m. in the conference room of the ministry, and it is going to be discussions on concerns of CTAG members. So the institutions or the stakeholders that are expected at this meeting include the president of CTAG, the director general of GTEC, the president of PRINCOF, the director tertiary Ministry of Education, and also the Minister for Employment and Labour Relations, the Minister of Education, the Minister of Finance, and as well as the Deputy Minister of Finance. So all of these people are expected to be in that meeting to really discuss what the problem is, why has a CTAG strike prolonged this much, and what can be done to ensure that the teachers go back to school.
And this is one that we're keeping an eye on, and we'll definitely be updating our listeners and viewers as well on Facebook. This is Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W93.5 in Y and beyond. And the World Health Organization says countries are expected to use the existing standing guidelines to manage the Mpox outbreak locally. 2 vaccines have so far received green light to be used in the response. Mpox has been recorded in 13 African countries, with Europe recording cases in Sweden and the UK. The country emergency preparedness and response officer at the WHO office here in Ghana, Dr. Sally Ann Ohene, in an exclusive interview with 3FM said the WHO is actively working on an updated version of the guidelines with focus on strengthening areas of surveillance.
We're actually not starting from the scratch, because over 2022, 2023, we were reporting cases. So several measures were already put in place. So it's more like an activation. It's more like, updating some of the things that we already did. So we are collaborating very well with the Ministry of Health, Ghana Health Service, and other partners and stakeholders. So when it comes to an outbreak like this, there are certain areas that you need to strengthen. So in terms of, yes, so yesterday, Sweden reported that they had detected a case of Mpox. So, now there's global travel. You just, within a few hours, in another country or a region of the world. So it brings back my point about making sure that you have the capacity for early detection. So that involves having your surveillance laboratory, also public health education, risk communication, so that in case someone sees, say, a rash or something and they are not sure, you go to get it checked. So those are some of the measures that need to be put in place for rapid containment. So it is possible that other countries will also start reporting. So another country may say, I've picked up a case and so on. It is not out of the ordinary. And it actually speaks to them being prepared. So that's what this public health emergency declaration is all about. Let's all get prepared. Let's collaborate. Let's support each other. Let's coordinate so that we don't have a disjointed, because when we work together, it's possible to quickly contain and then we save lives. So currently there are 2 vaccines that have received the green light, So what WHO is doing is working with countries to accredit the use of the vaccines in the country. So we are working with the regulatory agencies. So for example, the FDAs for Ghana, that's the equivalent of the FDA. So in countries to see how we can shorten, because when a new product comes in, it has to go through certain processes. Yes. So WHO works with countries to try and accelerate the process so that those vaccines can be made available in countries, having gone through that shortened process. So what countries are also being encouraged to do is to look at the guidelines in case we want to use the vaccine, because definitely we cannot say we are vaccinating the whole population. So identify who are the high risk. Some resources have been mobilized by WHO, but it's important to remember that wish to do is to look at the guidelines in case we want to use the vaccine, because definitely we cannot say we are vaccinating the whole population. So identify who are the high risk. Some resources have been mobilized by WHO, but it's important to remember that as countries we have to take responsibility for our own health. So it's important that countries do their own resource mobilization, and then it will be complemented by what partners and other organizations will bring on.
So that's the Country Emergency Preparedness and Response Officer at the World Health Organization office here in Ghana, Dr. Sally Ann Ohene there.
Alfred, still on this, the federal government has intensified monitoring and screening procedures at all entry points into Nigeria in response to the Mpox outbreak. The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Hamoah-Agyemang, disclosed this in a statement on Thursday, signed by Special Advisor on Media and External Relations, Tashika Mahala. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention on Thursday reported 39 confirmed cases, but no death across 38 states and the Federal Capital Territory from the beginning of 2024. The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Hamoah-Agyemang, emphasized that the country has intensified monitoring and screening procedures at all entry points in response to the threat of Mpox, the SA said in the Thursday statement. And the statement quoted the minister as noting that the NCDC and the Nigeria Port Health Services under the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare had been taking steps to fortify Nigeria's defenses before the declaration of Mpox as a public health emergency. The statement continues that the Mpox Clade 1 strain had caused fatalities in up to 10% of individuals who are falling ill in previous outbreaks, and added that the aim is to tackle and mitigate its impact by deploying measures similar to those used during the COVID-19 pandemic.
And it's one that we keep an eye on as well. This is Hot Edition. We're back after this quick break with the latest in the world of business. Juliana Menoa-Fall is standing by. Stay with us.
When it comes to the world of sports, what does complete mean to you?
When my team scores at the end of a 30-plus passing sequence, like Pep Guardiola style.
When someone beats the buzzer from a shot from the logo, like Steph Curry.
Dominating opponents and punching my way to a knockout, like Africa's greatest boxer, Azuma Nelson.
Running so fast that I can afford to celebrate midway through a 100-meter race and smash the world record like Usain Bolt.
Hold up. What makes all of these sports complete is the screen. This is where you get access to extensive analysis, insights, and highlights.
So join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. live on 3FM 92.7 as we serve you the most satisfying buffet in the world of sports. The 3 Sports team will come together to review, preview, and analyze the latest in sports on Sports Ultras.
Hello, good evening. It's time now for the business segment on Hot Edition. Coming up, rainfall shortage sparks fears of food insecurity as farmers urge government's immediate action. We'll hear from Executive Director of Peasant Farmers Association, Bismarck Obusu-Norte. Thank you for staying with me, Menu Afol. In our first story, the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana is urgently calling on government to find alternative solutions to support farmers, particularly those in middle and northern regions, to irrigate their farms and mitigate the impending food crisis. Insufficient rainfall in these areas has led to a prolonged drought, raising concerns about food insecurity and potentially pushing thousands of farmers into debt and poverty. Executive Director of the association, Bismarck Obusu-Norte, is appealing to government to intervene and address the situation promptly.
It's sad that as a country we spend millions of cedis all in the name of irrigation. Meanwhile, when it is needed the most, that's what we are found wanting. It's a very sad situation, and if we are not blessed with nature to have this, I foresee a situation where we will have very low harvests, and this will lead to very high food prices. There are some areas for farmers who are along river bodies. If you can quickly mobilize pumping machines for them, that they can be able to connect them and get some water, I think that can alleviate some of the problems that we have. There are instances where you can even take a bold step and say that government can deploy some trucks to load water from river bodies and go and water the farms. We just need some form of intervention. And the people who are paid to work should be able to think of a solution.
Executive Director of Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana, Bismarck Obusu-Norte there. Away from that, the Dean of University of Cape Coast Business School, Professor John Gachi, has expressed concerns that the recent decline in Treasury bill rates is unsustainable. He argues that investors will inevitably seek alternative investment opportunities to protect their returns from inflation, potentially leading to dollar hoarding. While the Bank of Ghana has implemented measures to regulate the foreign exchange market, Professor Gachi believes that investors will always find ways to circumvent these controls.
The market is being controlled by government, and so it is possible for government to undertake certain measures to change the rate overnight, but that cannot continue, because when the rate goes down significantly, you create opportunity for people to look for where they will keep their money. And the surest way is to keep their money in foreign currency. So I'm not sure that rate downward trend will continue in the interest of exchange rate, because if the rate goes down significantly, then a lot of people will be finding a safe haven for their money, and that will be foreign currency.
You heard the voice of Dean of University of Cape Coast Business School, Professor John Gachi there. Meanwhile, Director of Research at the Institute of Economic Affairs, Dr. John Kwachi, is advocating for comprehensive reforms of Ghana's public financial management system. He attributes the country's current economic woes to inefficiencies, excessive administrative influence, and other factors. To address these challenges, Dr. Kwachi emphasizes the need for effective oversight, transparency, and accountability through targeted reforms. He made these remarks at the Africa Center for Governance and Economic Management's roundtable discussion themed Balancing Fiscal and Monetary Policies in Africa's Economic Development.
Balancing fiscal and monetary policy will require strengthening fiscal and monetary policy governance and effective coordination, as we have been told. But in particular, we need a strengthened treasury transparency, responsibility, and accountability through appropriate reforms of the public financial management legislations. We need active engagement of the public throughout the budget formulation and implementation process to promote transparency and inclusiveness. Government ministries, departments, and agencies and other public institutions should engage their constituents on planned policies, programs, and projects through regular public information and education sessions. This will allow the public discussions and debate to inform actual policy decisions. There is a need for regular publication of full statistical data on the economy for the information of the public. Transparency and accountability should be instituted in all government procurement through institutional strengthening and reinforce the oversight by Parliament. Now, we need to strengthen our public audit systems, including insulating them from executive influence.
That was Director of Research at the Institute of Economic Affairs, Dr. John Kwache. There. Well, that's it for the business segment on Hot Edition. For more stories, kindly visit our website on 3news.com. My name is Minu Afodu. Stay tuned for sports news with Bill Ishen.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Bill Ishen. Starting off from local football, the Goldfields Ghana Foundation has handed over the newly constructed Takwa and Aboso Stadium in Takwa in the Western region to the National Sports Authority in a ceremony held on Friday, August 16. The rehabilitation work on the TNA Stadium started 4 years ago and was completed in June this year for the cost of $16.2 million. Francis Hema was at the stadium today and filed this report.
The ceremony saw great personalities gracing it, from the Western Regional Minister, Honorable Kobe Ochedako Mensah, to the Minister of Youth and Sports and the MP for Takwa Nswayem, Honorable Meku Duka. According to the Western Regional Minister, he thinks that this facility is going to go a long way to help in the development of football in the region and in the country at large. And we know that sports is about money. So the more we develop more talent, it gives us the opportunity to tap into the business side of sports as well. And we would like to use this opportunity to thank Goldfields for putting up the money for this project. The Member of Parliament for Takwa Nswayem, Honorable Meku Duka, has assured that this facility is going to be taken good care of. For us, we have a new head as far as sports authority is concerned. He is fresh in the system and he has a very ambitious vision for sports authority, and he has that level, the wherewithal to supervise and encourage us to maintain it better. So I think the future looks bright. It's not going to be the previous stadia. An amount of $16.2 million was invested to give the facility this facelift. The entire project cost us $16.2 million. It was originally estimated at $12 million, but as the project progressed, we thought of adding one or two things, and that pushed the cost to $16.2 million. The total capacity, the design capacity was 10,000, but for safety reasons, we had to cut it down, and it's just a little over 8,000 as we see it today. We have asked that the NSA works closely with the Municipal Assembly, who have put forward a very compelling argument as to why they should manage it. We think there's a lot of sense in what the Municipal Assembly has said, and we have approached the NSA, and they've also guaranteed that they are going to sit down with the Municipal Assembly, and together they fashion out a way to run this facility different from how all other sporting facilities have been run in the country. From the newly built TNA Stadium, Francis Hema for TV3 Sports.
So the TNA Stadium finally inaugurated, and Kotoko will be playing against Mediama on the newly inaugurated stadium soon. But still on local football, Hamoah-Agyemang are currently preparing for their CAF Confederation Cup preliminary round fixture against Elect Sports, which will be played on Sunday at 3 p.m. Now, my colleague Kelvin Owusu-Ansah looked at how they qualified for the competition and how they are preparing to meet Elect Sports.
The reigning MTN FA Cup champions are set to make their debut in the CAF Interclub competition as they face Charles Elect Sport FC in the preliminary round of the 2024-2025 CAF Confederations Cup. The match is slated for Sunday at the Accra Sports Stadium following Hamoah-Agyemang's dramatic 5-4 penalty shootout victory over Bofor Kwatano in the FA Cup final. In preparation for this crucial fixture, Hamoah-Agyemang FC participated in the Incentre Cup held in Summerboy, where they secured wins against Legon Cities and Nations FC, but suffered a defeat to Summertex. However, the team faced an unexpected setback with the departure of head coach Maxwell Kunedu after the 2023-2024 Ghana football season. Kunedu, a former Black Stars coach, has since joined South Africa's Black Leopards. Former Great Olympics coach Yao Prekon has been appointed to lead Hamoah-Agyemang FC into this new challenge. Despite the coaching change, the team are expressing confidence in their readiness for the CAF Interclub competition.
So I would say we are ready. We the players and the management has said that the management has made us known that they are ready. So we the players too. So I would say we are ready for this tournament. We are ready.
Hamoah-Agyemang FC draws inspiration from the recent success of Dreams FC, last season's FA Cup champions, who made an impressive run to the semi-finals of the CAF Confederation Cup before being eliminated by Egyptian powerhouse Zamalek. They intend to approach each game and every stage with high expectations, aiming to emulate or even surpass Dreams FC's achievements. As Hamoah-Agyemang FC embarks on this historic journey in continental football, they carry the hopes of their supporters and the ambition to make a mark in their debut Africa campaign.
They are indeed looking to make a mark in their debut African campaign. But moving on to women's football in the local scene, Hazakis ladies have had their final training session ahead of their final group game in the CAF Women's Champions League qualifiers, which is expected to be against AS Guard of Niger. Now, Azaka's ladies have failed to win any of their first two games and need a win to have any chance of qualifying to the semi-finals of the competition. The assistant coach of the side, Emmanuel Mensah, has stated that the team has to do their job by winning that final game to give them a chance of qualifying to the next stage.
I think that we need to deliver on our side. That is our last chance, and it's in our own hands. We have to do our side of the deal and leave the rest to Edo Queens and the Burkina Faso team to decide. So for us, we need to deliver on our side, and that is why I'm saying that this game is supposed to be a game that we need to score more goals.
That was Emmanuel Mensah, the assistant coach of Hazakis ladies. Moving on to European football, EPL season is finally back. Now, the top teams would be fighting for the Premier League trophy after Manchester City have won it in 4 consecutive seasons. Now, the 3 sports team gathered round and gave their predictions ahead of the campaign.
I think Arsenal is winning, and I think they're winning mainly because of how close they've come in the last 2 editions of the Premier League, and this time they just have what it takes.
The rest side of North London, Arsenal.
Why?
Because I think with the chase they give Manchester City, they can do better and perfect their wrongs.
Liverpool. I think they would surprise everyone. People seem to have forgotten how good they are, and slots writing. Arsenal. I think they have toiled for long, and this season could be their season. After trailing behind City in the previous seasons, I think they will go for it this time around.
So I personally think that Arsenal will win the Premier League this season. They've been challenging for the past 2 seasons and they have their core ready and fit. During Timber is back and they've been able to add Ricardo Calafiori, who I think will be very, very crucial to Mikel Arteta this season.
And also now from Arsenal, I think Arsenal will win the league, Arsenal on top, and definitely Man City will come closely behind. Just being champions, I think that they'll have enough to get into the top 4, and particularly in second. And then for the third position, I think Manchester United will creep into third this season. We've seen the squad size, we've seen the level of business they've done so far in the transfer market, and I think they'll get there. And then for the final place in the top 4, I think that it will be Liverpool. They will just get enough to get into that top 4.
It's going to be Arsenal who are going to top Manchester City, obviously. Second, Chelsea would come forth, but for my third, I think Aston Villa will have a shot. I think for the rest of the top 4, Liverpool win the league. There will be Arsenal and then Manchester City, then Manchester United, just about creeping. And I think City will try again and finish maybe second. I see Liverpool still making the top 4, so Liverpool will be then. I'm quite sure Chelsea will improve from last season and will make the top 4.
So personally, I think the top 4 will be Arsenal in first, Liverpool in second, Manchester City in third, and Manchester United in fourth. Those were the predictions there from the 3 Sports team. In less than an hour, the first Premier League fixture that will be between Manchester United and Fulham will take place. But before that game takes place, we take a look at some of the records that have been set in the Premier League over the years. The unusual runs, really. Football is back. Rivalries rekindled, and the battle for the ownership of the television remote will be as heated as ever in the next few months. But before the yearly drama of the Premier League begins, let's look at some unusual records. Chelsea once boasted of the best defensive setup on the planet, conceding just 15 goals in the 2004-05 season. They also went 86 home games without defeat from 2004 to 2008. Former Liverpool forward Sadio Mane recorded the fastest hat-trick in a Southampton shirt against Aston Villa in May 2015, doing so in the space of 2 minutes 56 seconds. Liverpool striker Darwin Núñez was unlucky against Chelsea in January last season, hitting the woodwork 4 times. But it was good fortune for former Arsenal striker Nicolas Bendtner in 2007, scoring just 6 seconds after coming on as a substitute against Tottenham. Derby County had the worst campaign in Premier League history, earning just 11 points in the 2007-08 season. Crystal Palace, on the other hand, earned 49 points in 42 games, but did not escape the drop, the most points by a relegated team. Arsenal missed out on the PL Trophy despite earning 89 points last season. Surprisingly, Manchester United became league winners with just 75 points in 1997, the lowest by a champion. Which of these records will be broken by the end of this season? Some unusual records really in the Premier League. Now, to our next one, ahead of the game between Manchester United and Fulham, which is the opening fixture of the 2024-25 Premier League season. Erik ten Hag revealed that his team is not yet ready for the task.
It's true, it's not the pre-season, but it's where you can 5-6 weeks work on the team. Well, it's very complicated. But yeah, we had the USA Tour squad, then we add the players who did the Euros and Copa America. Yeah, now new signings, and now we have to make a team from it. And yeah, that team is not ready, but yeah, the league starts, and there are more managers to deal with this problem. We definitely have this problem, but still we have some rules, some principles, and yeah, we have to make a start. We can't hide ourselves, we can't run away from it, so yeah, we have to deal with it.
That was Erik ten Hag there, the head coach of Manchester United. But let's look at the lineups for Manchester United and Fulham. For Manchester United, we have Andre Onana in goal, Dalot, Maguire, Martinez and Mazraoui in defence, Kobbie Mainoo, Casemiro, Diallo, Mount and Rashford in midfield, and we have Bruno Fernandes playing as a false 9. For Fulham, we have Bernd Leno in goal, Robinson, Bassi, Diop and Tete in defence. In midfield, we have Smith Rowe, Lukic, Iwobi, Pereira and Traore. And in attack, we have Rodrigo Muniz. That brings an end to the sports segment here on the 3FM Hot Edition. My name is Billy Shen, Grace, and the rest of the team are on standby with more.
Welcome back to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Let's do some stories now. And news coming in indicates that the Ministry of Health has activated its emergency response plan and heightened surveillance to combat Mpox disease. So the press release says, in response to the recent declaration by the World Health Organization, WHO, that Mpox is a public health emergency of international concern, the Ministry of Health, through the Ghana Health Service, has activated its emergency response plan to address a potential threat of the disease within the country. This move aligns with the WHO's determination to intensify global efforts in combating the spread of Mpox, particularly in Africa. On August 14, 2024, the WHO Director General identified a significant upsurge of Mpox cases in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and an increasing number of countries across Africa as constituting of that intent. Consequently, the Ministry of Health has issued a directive to all implementing agencies and stakeholders to heighten surveillance systems at all levels. This directive includes enhanced monitoring at points of entry such as airports and border crossings and increased vigilance within communities nationwide. The Ghana Health Service has also released a detailed technical advice on the symptoms of Mpox and the necessary steps for early detection, reporting and treatment. While Ghana recorded 120 cases of Mpox in 2022 and 8 cases in 2023 respectively, there has been no reported case in 2024. However, the ministry remains vigilant and urges the public to take proactive measures to prevent a resurgence of the disease. Early detection, timely reporting, and prompt treatment are crucial to containing the disease and preventing further spread. The ministry remains committed, prepared, and ready to lead the provisions of universal health coverage in Ghana and urge all citizens to cooperate with health authorities and adhere to the guidelines provided to safeguard public health. And so that is the latest coming from the Ministry of Health. Ghana has had to activate its emergency response plan and heighten surveillance to combat the Mpox disease. So if you see any difference at the ports or at the border crossings, just know that it is part of the efforts to ensure that we protect ourselves from the spread of Mpox. Let us now go to your election command center for campaign trail. Let's begin campaign tour from the quarters of the New Patriotic Party because preparations are feverishly underway in Takoradi as a governing New Patriotic Party gears up for its 2024 manifesto launch. Irama Smith joins us live from Takoradi to provide us with the latest updates on the preparations. Irama, thank you for joining us. Talk to us about the mood in Takoradi ahead of the launch and how are the local residents and party supporters reacting?
Right, great. So when you come to Takoradi, the streets are washed with NPP colors, the posters of the presidential candidates and the MPs in various constituencies. You know, when you come to Takoradi, we have the Takoradi MP, Kobi Ochredako, who is also the Western Regional Minister. So that is the venue for the scheduled launch. So the posters are all over with the MPP flags and all that. Some have taken advantage, you know, the usual, trying to sell their paraphernalia. You can also see some of the vehicles, you know, moving around and all that. But interestingly, many residents seem not to be aware that there's going to be a launch on Sunday. And those who are aware are pathetic. It's like they can't be bothered. When you talk to them, all that they say is they want something done about the economy. Right now, what is going to be launched will not put bread on their table. So there's that contrast there. You can feel the excitement. The hotels are fully booked. We spoke to the Hoteliers Association So everywhere seems to be ready, but the people, the residents are not really so much in tune with what is expected to happen on Sunday.
That is a bit different from what we've seen over the years. Rama, let's talk about security. Have you seen the increased presence of security in the region? How does it look like?
Not really, but I believe the national security personnel are on the ground, because I went to the Ghana Secondary Technical School where the event itself would take place, and while speaking to the authorities there, I got wind of the fact that the national security were there to do their own thing. They have to secure the place. I suspect that they are in town, but because they are in Mopti, you wouldn't easily identify them. But with the police, those around are not, the numbers are not so unusual. You don't really see anything extra happening.
Now, have you had a chance to speak to any of the party executives? What are their plans for the weekend leading up to the event, even with the school authorities where the event is expected to happen? Anybody spoken to you yet?
I have spoken to the regional secretary of the party, Ocansey of Efrifa, and he disclosed that the weekend will start with a health walk, dubbed Bold Solutions Health Walk, on Saturday dawn. So that will be led by the presidential candidate, Dr. Baumia, with the MPs and all those, all the big wigs. It will start from Fijai to the Fia Park. All of this is in the Fia constituency. So there'll be a mini rally. I'm sure they want to create awareness of what's going to happen. So from there, after the mini rally, that will end the day, and then the next day, the launch itself will start at 1 p.m. And that's basically it. At the GSTS, where the school where it's being launched, they wouldn't talk to us because of DES rules. But when I went there, I saw that the place was being set up. I saw the head teacher with some assistant and other teachers moving around, but they didn't speak to us. So I think everything is quite set for the day.
All right. Rama, thank you for that update. Rama Smith updating us on the preparations for the launch of the NPP manifesto in the Western region. Well, she says that it looks like people are apathetic about the event, but maybe today is Friday, we have Saturday, and then Sunday, the day itself. So let's see how people will come alive to be a part of the launch of the NPP manifesto. Let's just stay with the quarters of the NPP, and members of the ruling NPP in the Ablekuma West constituency have expressed confidence in retaining the seat in the upcoming general elections, despite recent polls by Global Info Analytics projecting a win for the NDC candidate. The NPP constituency executive believes their ground assessments show a different picture. There's more in this report by Frederick Kunzo Tiani.
The Ablekuma West constituency has been a stronghold. The Ablekuma West constituency has been a stronghold of the governing New Patriotic Party since its creation. The NDC in the constituency in every election has been represented by a new parliamentary candidate. In 2012, the party was represented by Victoria Hama, who garnered 26,153 votes, representing 41.18%, as against the NPP's Eslo Uswekufu, who polled 36,975 votes, representing 58.22%. In 2016, the NDC presented Dinah Benewachum, who polled 20,976 votes, representing 34.8%, against the NPP's Eslo Uswekufu's 34,376 votes, representing 57%. In 2020, the NDC went in for a Reverend Minister, Reverend Kweku Addo, who also failed to win the seat. Reverend Kweku polled 30,733 votes, representing 44.64%, against the NPP's Eslo Uswekufu's 37,363, representing 54.27% of total votes cast. Ahead of this year's election, Recent polls by Global Info Analytics is projecting a 56% win for the NDC candidate, Reverend Kweku Adoas, against Eslo-Usu's 39%. NPP constituency executives think otherwise.
Anytime when approaching an election, people come up with a lot of finding. Last 4 years, it happened. They said that Eslo was going to lose. And she won. You understand? Today you are here telling me another institution is here. I just want everybody here to treat it as a trash. It is falsehood. It's not really reflecting.
But what are the reasons for predicting the NDC's victory?
Honorable Eslo-Usu has done phenomenal well when it comes to development and development in Ablekuma West. Every schools in Ablekuma today can boast of ICT lab. She is building a tech park for the youth in Ablekuma West. The police are here. They are doing patrols 24/7. So it tells you that security aspect, it has been tackled.
NDC constituency executive, on the other hand, is confident of securing the seat for the first time.
For the first time in the history of Ablekuma West, NDC will take the seat. I want to assure everybody that NDC will take the seat this time.
They again outlined several key policies they intend to implement should they win the seat.
If by the grace of God we win this seat, the first thing we'll do is what? We'll develop the market, which they've left for over 12 years. 2, the sea defense, which we started, that they've left. We've also made sure we complete it. The third one, we are going to build what? Hospital around. We will build what? Go to Kids Cat, that they are claiming they've built an hospital there. The park is an empty park. They're starting on the park.
With election just a few months away, the battle for Ablekuma West is shaping up to be a closely watched and highly contested race.
Well, indeed, elections just at the corner. We'll see who takes that seat. But away from NPP and NDC, former National Chairman of the People's National Convention, PNC, Bernard Mona, has formally launched his bid for the flag bearership of the party. Earlier today, Mr. Mona filed his nomination papers with the party ahead of August 31 Delegates Congress. We can listen to him.
I'm going into a contest, and I'm supposed to know the total number of delegates that I'm dealing with. I know that the Constitution requires that 14 people per constituency, plus their member of parliament, plus any national executive that ordinarily resides in that constituency, plus 14 members per region. And so times the 17 national officers. When you aggregate it, I do know that we are having in excess of 4,242. But I have to see the voters' album to see who and who are there, whether they are indeed members of our party or they are not. And so I am eager to get to see the full components of that. And that is why I am saying that as of now, we should have it, because we have gone through the processes. The party delayed in opening up nominations. They just opened nominations on the 12th. And I picked my nominations on the 12th. In 4 days' time, I have been able to get the 75 endorsement.
Well, Bernard Mona there. Let's go on the phone and speak to Mark Ewusi Ako, National Youth Organizer of the PNC. Mr. Ako, thank you for joining us. You've heard the concerns that have been raised by Bernard Mona, especially on the fact that he doesn't even have the register, and also you open nominations ready. Would you say that you're ready for Congress on 31st August?
Let me say a very good evening to you and to your cherished listeners. Just as Bernard Mona indicated, the party opened nominations for prospective candidates or interested parties to pick up nominations to contest for various positions, which include the flag bearer of the party. And last week, Bernard Mona took his form. Today, he returned the form to the Congress Committee of the party, which have been received officially. However, he raised concerns about the fact that we are not able to put together an album for prospective candidates to pick. And of course, anyone going into that contest will be mindful of the fact that people do not take advantage of the system and rig the elections or make things untransparent. But as a member of the committee, we have assured him that the committee will try as much as it can to ensure that we organize a very free, fair, and transparent electoral process so that no individual or no candidate will be aggrieved as far as the process is concerned. And you must be also aware that in a couple of weeks, our party National Executive Committee held a meeting in Accra and decided that we open up nominations, and it was just a couple of weeks ago. And so it is quite difficult to get a register just after opening nominations within 2 weeks. We're considering a number of 276 constituencies across the country. And you know the challenge the People's National Convention went through over the years. And these have derailed our processes till now. However, the party, as we speak, is currently committed, and we are ensured that we'll be able to put our assets together, get all the constituencies to organize their elections, and put together an album which will include the regional executives and then the national executives. We are promising all candidates that they'll get hold of the album so that they can monitor and know that there are no foreigners who are not delegates of the party to come and decide for them who should be their leader.
What next should we expect from the PNC?
Well, nominations is scheduled to close tomorrow, which is Saturday. From Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the Congress Committee have requested that prospective candidates who picked up nomination forms to be able to return them. And so by close of nominations, if you have picked up a form and you are not able to submit, then that indicates that you are out of the race. And so vetting is going to start from the Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And as you are aware that we're putting out in the media, on the 31st of this month, the People's National Convention is going to hold its national delegate elections. And it is going to be decentralized across the region. But Greater Accra have been chosen to be the National Coalition Center.
All right. Mr. Akon, thank you for talking to us, Mark. We see Akon is the National Youth Organizer of the PNC, assuring PNC and its supporters, as well as candidates, that they will ensure a free and fair election leading up to its delegate Congress. Before we go, the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association has projected about 200 nurses may leave to Barbados. However, the association has implored the cohort of nurses in Barbados now not to immigrate from that country to another country without serving for 2 years. President of the association, Perpetual Ofuriampofu, spoke exclusively with our labor correspondent Daniel Opoku in Accra, telling him about how this measure is going to take place and the benefits it's going to have on nursing as well as the health, Ghana's general health sector.
Government, through the Ministry of Health, signed an agreement with Barbados 3 years ago. The agreement is to allow nurses to work in that country. Since 2022 to 2024, about 400 nurses have been sent to Barbados. Currently, the Ministry of Health has opened nomination for interested nurses to apply. President of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, Perpetual Ofuriampofu, has projected that about 200 nurses could apply to work in that country.
Those who have left and keep leaving are those that are having years of experience and are those that are also having specialist education and qualification or expertise. And as long as they leave gaps in the healthcare system in terms of what they could be doing, how they could also be mentoring others in those special units they work and all of that. So it's a concern.
But she was worried that Ghana has not been able to sign agreements with other European countries to send nurses and midwives. She cited countries like the United States and United Kingdom, which she says government must endeavor to have bilateral agreements with those countries.
They are mostly in the United States, they are in UK, they are in Canada, a few are in Australia and the like. No, as far as I'm concerned, we don't have bilateral arrangements with them. But like I'm saying, they are benefiting in whatever shape or form. They are living on their own or they are living through certain agencies. They are still benefiting.
In another development, the president of the association has appealed to the Ministry of Health to correct the anomaly in the payment of allowances of rotation nurses and midwives.
The document puts out 1,000 something, and then the letter that states their financial clearance quoted 871, but the figure should have been 113 or something, and we are following up.
Virtual Fori Ampofu ending Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Grace Hamoah-Agyemang. Many thanks for joining us. Log on to 3news.com and get some more stories. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Good evening.